Behind every dazzling Hollywood smile was a secret the cameras never captured. The world saw red carpets, standing ovations, and glamorous headlines. But after the applause faded, some of the biggest stars in history left behind mysteries that still refused to die. Their final medical examinations uncovered disturbing details, heartbreaking truths, and unanswered questions that continue to fuel debate decades later. Number 1. Marilyn Monroe. Marilyn Monroe's life looked like the perfect Hollywood fairy tale, but the truth hidden behind her final hours has puzzled investigators and historians for decades. Officially, her death was ruled a probable suicide caused by an overdose of barbiturates. Yet when the autopsy began, one discovery immediately raised difficult questions that have never been fully answered. Medical examiners reported an unusually high concentration of barbiturates in her body. On its own, that finding seemed to support the official conclusion. However, another detail quickly complicated the story. According to the autopsy findings, there was no significant evidence of undissolved pills in her stomach, something that many observers have pointed to when questioning exactly how the drugs entered her system. Over the years, this single detail has fueled countless theories and debates. The examination also documented signs that sparked further speculation about the circumstances surrounding her death. While none of these observations definitively proved foul play, they were enough to keep the case alive in the public imagination. Instead of bringing closure, the autopsy became the starting point for decades of books, documentaries, and investigations exploring every possible explanation. Marilyn's passing remains one of Hollywood's most enduring mysteries, not because every question has an answer, but because so many questions still remain. More than half a century later, people continue searching for the truth behind the woman who became an icon both in life and in death. But if Marilyn's story left the world with unanswered questions, the next celebrity's autopsy revealed something even more heartbreaking. A body that had been quietly breaking down for years while millions believed everything was perfectly fine. Number 2. Judy Garland. To millions of fans, Judy Garland was the unforgettable voice behind The Wizard of Oz and one of Hollywood's brightest stars. But behind the applause and glamorous performances was a woman whose body had been pushed to its limits for decades. By the time medical examiners conducted her autopsy, they discovered that the damage had been building for years. The examination revealed that Judy's liver showed significant deterioration, reflecting the immense strain her body had endured. Her heart was also enlarged and weakened, suggesting years of relentless physical and emotional stress. Unlike the dramatic headlines many expected, the toxicology findings did not point to an intentional overdose. Instead, they painted the picture of a body that had simply reached its breaking point after years of exhaustion. For much of her career, Judy reportedly lived under an exhausting cycle common in the old studio system. Stimulants were used to keep her awake for demanding filming schedules, while sedatives helped her sleep once the work was over. That relentless pattern placed enormous pressure on nearly every major organ in her body. What audiences celebrated as endless energy came at a devastating personal cost. Her autopsy transformed the public conversation about her death. Rather than focusing on a single tragic night, it revealed a lifetime of physical and emotional strain that had slowly taken its toll. Judy Garland's story became a powerful reminder that fame often hides suffering no audience can see, and that even the brightest stars can quietly fade under impossible expectations. But while Judy's body slowly wore down over time, the next Hollywood legend never had that chance. His final moments unfolded in a matter of seconds, ending one of cinema's most promising careers almost instantly. Number 3. James Dean. James Dean became a Hollywood legend with only a handful of films, but his rebellious spirit and unforgettable screen presence made him an icon whose influence has lasted for generations. Tragically, his life ended at just 24 years old in a devastating car crash that shocked the world. When medical examiners performed the autopsy, the extent of the injuries revealed just how catastrophic the impact had been. The report documented multiple fatal traumatic injuries, including a broken neck, crushed ribs, severe internal bleeding, and extensive damage to several vital organs. The force of the collision had been so overwhelming that there was virtually no chance of survival. fragments of metal and shattered glass were found embedded in his body, providing grim evidence of the incredible speed and violence of the crash. Perhaps the most heartbreaking conclusion came from the medical findings themselves. According to the examination, Dean's injuries were so severe that death occurred almost instantly. He likely never had the opportunity to react to what was happening or experience prolonged suffering. In a single moment, one of Hollywood's brightest young stars was gone. His autopsy didn't uncover a hidden mystery or conspiracy. Instead, it served as a sobering reminder of how quickly life can change. A man whose future seemed limitless had his story cut short in the blink of an eye, leaving behind only the films, photographs, and legend that continued to inspire audiences decades later. But James Dean's death was sudden and unavoidable. The next icon's final chapter unfolded very differently, as years of hidden health problems and powerful prescription medications slowly pushed the king of rock and roll toward a tragic ending few fans ever imagined. Number 4. Elvis Presley. To millions of fans, Elvis Presley was larger than life, a global superstar whose electrifying performances changed music forever. But behind the sold-out concerts and dazzling stage presence, his health had been quietly declining for years. When medical examiners conducted his autopsy, they uncovered a body that had been under tremendous strain long before his final day. The examination found evidence of several serious health conditions affecting multiple organs. His heart was enlarged, his arteries showed significant disease, and his liver displayed signs of long-term stress. The toxicology report also identified numerous prescription medications in his system, reflecting the complex medical treatments he had been receiving. These findings suggested that his health challenges had been developing over an extended period rather than appearing overnight. One of the most widely discussed medical observations involved his digestive system, where examiners noted severe chronic constipation and an abnormally enlarged colon. Medical experts have since pointed to this condition as one of several factors that may have contributed to his declining health. Combined with years of physical stress, demanding schedules, and ongoing medical issues, his body had gradually become less able to cope with the pressure. Elvis's autopsy changed the public's understanding of his final years. Instead of a single dramatic event, it revealed the story of a man whose health had been deteriorating behind closed doors while he continued to entertain millions around the world. His legendary voice never faded, but his body had been fighting a battle few people could see. Yet, while Elvis's final chapter was marked by years of hidden illness, the next Hollywood star left behind something even more unsettling, an unexplained mystery that investigators and fans are still trying to solve decades later. Number 5. Natalie Wood. Natalie Wood's death remains one of Hollywood's most debated mysteries. Beloved for her unforgettable performances and celebrated career, she seemed to have everything. But in November 1981, that glamorous image was shattered when she was found in the waters near Catalina Island. Even today, the questions surrounding her final hours continue to spark discussion. During the autopsy, medical examiners documented multiple bruises and abrasions on different parts of her body, including her arms, legs, and face. These injuries became the focus of intense public interest because investigators could not immediately determine exactly when or how they had occurred. The examination also confirmed that she had drowned, while toxicology testing showed alcohol and medication in her system, factors that may have affected her balance and judgment. As the investigation continued, experts examined whether the injuries were consistent with an accidental fall or whether another explanation was possible. Over the years, authorities revisited the case several times as new witnesses came forward and additional questions emerged. Although the official investigation evolved, many aspects of what happened that night have remained unresolved, leaving room for speculation but no definitive conclusion. Unlike many celebrity deaths that eventually reach a clear ending, Natalie Wood's story continues to occupy a unique place in Hollywood history. Her autopsy provided important medical evidence, but it could not answer every question surrounding her final moments. That uncertainty has kept her case alive in documentaries, books, and public debate for decades. But as mysterious as Natalie Wood's case remains, the next legend's autopsy stunned the medical world for an entirely different reason. He appeared to be in extraordinary physical condition, Yet something inside his body failed with almost no warning. Number 6. Bruce Lee. Bruce Lee was the definition of strength, discipline, and peak physical fitness. His incredible speed and athletic ability made him a global icon, leading many to believe he was almost unstoppable. That's why news of his sudden death in 1973 stunned the world. How could someone in such extraordinary condition collapse without warning? The answer only became more puzzling after his autopsy. Medical examiners discovered that Bruce Lee's brain had swollen significantly, a condition known as cerebral edema. The swelling increased the weight of his brain beyond its normal range, placing dangerous pressure inside his skull. Despite this alarming finding, the rest of his body appeared remarkably healthy. His heart, muscles, and other major organs showed none of the severe long-term diseases typically associated with an unexpected death, making the case especially unusual. Toxicology testing detected a pain relief medication that Lee had taken before his collapse. Investigators concluded that he may have experienced a rare hypersensitive reaction that triggered the fatal brain swelling. However, because there was no single explanation that answered every question, the case quickly became the subject of worldwide speculation. Over the years, countless theories emerged, but none have been proven, leaving the official medical conclusion unchanged. Bruce Lee's autopsy highlighted how even someone who appears to be in perfect health can face an unexpected medical emergency. His sudden passing remains one of the most discussed celebrity deaths in history, not because of proven conspiracies, but because of the many questions that continue to fascinate fans around the world. But Bruce Lee's story was a medical mystery. The next celebrity's final moments were far more horrifying, a tragedy so heartbreaking that it left investigators, the public, and Hollywood itself forever changed. Number 7. Sharon Tate. Sharon Tate was one of Hollywood's brightest rising stars, admired for her talent, kindness, and promising future. At just 26 years old, she was preparing to welcome her first child when an unimaginable act of violence shocked the world. What investigators documented afterward became one of the most heartbreaking records in Hollywood history. During the autopsy, medical examiners carefully documented numerous fatal stab wounds along with extensive defensive injuries on her hands and arms. These wounds indicated that Sharon had desperately tried to protect herself during the attack. The report described the devastating nature of the assault and confirmed that she remained alive for part of the ordeal, making the tragedy even more heartbreaking. One of the most emotional findings involved her unborn son, who was only weeks away from being born. Medical examiners determined that he had not suffered independent injuries. Instead, his death occurred as a direct result of the fatal injuries inflicted on his mother. That conclusion added another layer of sorrow to a crime that had already horrified the nation and forever changed Hollywood's sense of safety. Unlike the mysterious cases that continued to generate endless theories, Sharon Tate's death was tragically clear. Her autopsy wasn't about solving a puzzle, it was a solemn medical record of an act of extraordinary violence. Decades later, her story remains a powerful reminder of how one horrific night forever altered the lives of countless people and became one of the darkest chapters in entertainment history. But while Sharon Tate's final moments were marked by unimaginable violence, the next Hollywood legend faced a very different fate. His body revealed the hidden effects of decades of stress, smoking, and relentless pressure, damage that had been quietly building for years before it finally reached its breaking point. Number 8. Clark Gable. Known as the King of Hollywood, Clark Gable projected confidence, strength, and timeless charisma both on and off the screen. For decades, audiences admired his rugged image and unforgettable performances. But when he passed away in 1960, his autopsy revealed that behind that legendary persona was a body that had been under tremendous strain for many years. Medical examiners found that Gable's heart was significantly enlarged, a clear indication that it had been working much harder than normal over a long period. They also documented advanced coronary artery disease, with narrowed arteries restricting blood flow and greatly increasing the risk of a fatal heart attack. These findings suggested that his cardiovascular health had been declining long before his final days. The examination also noted the effects of his long history of heavy cigarette smoking. His lungs showed damage consistent with years of tobacco use, while the combined impact of stress, aging, and demanding work schedules had placed additional pressure on his body. Even after suffering health problems, Gable reportedly remained committed to his career, continuing to work through physically demanding filming conditions rather than slowing down to recover. Clark Gable's autopsy painted the picture of a man whose greatest battle wasn't on a movie set, it was the silent wear and tear accumulating inside his body. His passing served as a reminder that even the strongest public image cannot protect someone from the long-term effects of chronic health risks. The legend lived on, but the medical findings revealed the hidden cost of decades spent pushing himself beyond his limits. But if Clark Gable's story was about years of gradual decline, the final celebrity on our list met a far more sudden and devastating fate. At just 23 years old, a rising star's life ended in a matter of moments, leaving behind one of Hollywood's greatest what-if stories. Number 9. River Phoenix. River Phoenix wasn't just one of Hollywood's most talented young actors, he was widely seen as the future of an entire generation. With critically acclaimed performances and a rapidly rising career, his potential seemed limitless. But in the early hours of October 31, 1993, everything changed outside a Los Angeles nightclub. What happened next stunned fans around the world and marked the tragic end of a remarkable life at only 23 years old. The autopsy determined that River died from acute intoxication caused by a combination of heroin and cocaine, commonly referred to as a speedball. Medical examiners also found evidence of fluid in his lungs and severe stress on his cardiovascular system, signs that his body had suffered a rapid and catastrophic medical collapse. Witnesses reported that he experienced violent convulsions before emergency responders arrived, and despite every effort to save him, the damage had already become irreversible. The medical findings revealed how quickly powerful drugs can overwhelm even a young and otherwise healthy body. There was no prolonged illness or years of visible physical decline. Instead, the toxic combination triggered a chain reaction that caused his heart and respiratory system to fail within minutes. His sudden passing shocked Hollywood, especially because so many believed his greatest achievements were still ahead of him. River Phoenix's death became one of the entertainment industry's most heartbreaking cautionary tales. His extraordinary talent, compassion, and promise continue to be remembered decades later, while his final moments remain a sobering reminder of how fragile life can be. Some stars leave behind legendary performances, but River also left behind a powerful lesson that continues to resonate with every new generation of fans. Outro. These 9 stories reveal that behind the glamour of old Hollywood often lay hidden struggles, unanswered questions, and heartbreaking realities.